come to save the day. This is Corey, and this is the Anthem podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. Exciting day today.
Yeah.
I'm super stoked about it.
Talking about Tuesday, right?
Yes, Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
If you're listening to it the day it drops, which you should, because...
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Or if you're sitting out by the pool later on this week, enjoying it. Hi, how are you? Casey's on vacation. Did I tell you about that?
Make sure you send snaps.
She sent me a picture of by the pool listening to the podcast, and I was like, nice. Yes, at least we have one listener this week. All right.
I just feel reassured when I get like a text from somebody who's just like, "Hey, good show this week." And I'm just like, "Yes, there was one."
That's all that matters, as long as it's not listened to by only the people in the room. And what a week it has been this week.
Yeah,
so much shit going on.
I know,
but we're gonna go ahead. I was gonna say we're doing a little special thing this week.
Well, as is the tradition,
right?
When we have something very special happening, something big dropping between the Anthem digital family here.
Yes.
We like to spend the episode talking about it.
Right. So we've done that for my first book.
Right.
And if ever your screenplay is done, then we will, of course, do that as well. So
yeah. Well, I mean,
coming
imagine
2017.
I imagine when we're doing the when Love Letter is being not Love Letter, About That Time I Fell in Love is filming.
Yes.
We'll do podcasts throughout where we're just like talking. We'll bring in actors and all sorts of shit.
Sure. Yeah.
Do it along a process along the way.
Be like a real Hollywood podcast.
Yeah, I know.
We're going so Hollywood. But there were a couple things that happened this week I did want to touch on.
Yeah, we got to cover some news before we get to Faux.
Because as you know, I'm passionate about several things, and anybody who knew me, I can't tell you how many people were like texting me, Facebook messaging me, everything with this stuff out of McKinney, Texas. And just like, have you seen this? I'm like, no. I am the one person in the world who you can guarantee has seen this, and you're going to ask me. I do appreciate it. I shouldn't, about that, because I appreciate when people see stuff, because occasionally, unlike the thing you were trying to show me earlier, occasionally I haven't seen it, so I do enjoy that. But did you see the video out of McKinney?
Yeah, I saw it.
Any thoughts about it? Here comes the police apologist. Go ahead.
No, it's not a police apologist thing. It's
Wait, let me do a barrel roll before we start. The beginning of the video, the cop does a barrel roll.
Oh, yeah. Like, it just jumps into frame.
Just out of nowhere, into frame, barrel roll up on his feet.
No, what I was going to say is what I think happened here. I mean, obviously, first of all, he stepped way over the line. Yes. Like, while nobody died, which is a refreshing change of pace.
Sure, yeah.
Clearly, he didn't have a handle on the situation and only made things worse by the decisions that he made. And
each one worse than the one before it.
Like pulling the gun, bad decision, probably not the time to do that.
No.
Throwing a girl in a bikini to the sidewalk on her face, clearly not that's the best way to handle that.
She's dangerous. So.
The fact that nobody, like one person got arrested is like, and also the fact that I think everybody, something tells me that this story really wasn't much.
No.
Like, I've made the parable of Baltimore County cops before.
Right.
Where like...
Everybody shows up.
Somebody has a broken taillight. Let's get 10 cars lined up behind him so we can all have a powwow about what we're going to do to this dangerous criminal.
Right, yeah.
Like, something tells me that McKinney is probably a town a lot like Towson, where they have a police force.
Overpaid and overnumbered for what they have to do.
Right. Yeah. It's not like they're dealing with, it's not like the son of Sam lives in McKinney, Texas.
Right, yeah.
They're dealing with far less important problems, and therefore everybody has to show up and act like it's, end of days whenever they get the call.
The lights on Main Street are out. All hands on deck.
We got a code yellow. I'm new on the force. What's a code yellow? Just everybody get there. It doesn't even matter.
But yeah, no, it's more of the same stuff. For those of you who don't know the story, there was a public space where there was, and stories differ as they tend to do. But what's agreed upon is that people who did live in the neighborhood used a public park to have a barbecue. And someone made the suggestion that this is a pool party. Now, whether it was the DJ or the person who invited everyone, I don't know. But some of the people did live in the neighborhood, and some of those people got into the pool, and there was some racially sensitive language used by a woman who has now been fired from her job for using that language.
Has she been fired? Last I heard, she was suspended.
No, fired.
Oh, okay.
And not fired for the language, fired for the assault on the child that was recorded. She began grabbing and punching a 16-year-old girl, and she is a 40-year-old woman. So,
right.
And no matter how it started, inappropriate. No matter how much of these little smart-ass bitches talk to me, I'm not allowed to smack some dude who talks shit to me.
Right.
Just not allowed. Of an adult, let alone a child. So,
right.
And then the police. Then, according to the news, somebody called the police, and the 911 call, which I've seen a transcript of and not heard, the specific word that was used was that there are too many black people in the neighborhood, or too many black kids in the neighborhood. And so, of course, that gave it a whole new twist.
Yeah.
And the guy who made the call has been doing the rounds on Fox and Friends and the No Spin Zone and all that stuff. So
Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah. So it just got out of hand. And then, as out of hand as it was, then the lovely police officer showed up and, as we said, did a barrel roll into frame.
Yeah.
Of the, let's say, 40 people who were there that he was addressing, there were probably 30 black kids and 10 white kids. The 30 black kids were forced to sit on the curb and get yelled at, while the 10 white kids, one of them being the person who was recording it, stood by like, hey, what's going on? And one other adult who was also there and not intervening at all. Yeah. Just watching the cop batter the girl. Gun got drawn. It's got out of hand. Yeah. But as I said before, this is a symptom of a systematic problem. We can't look at any one of these events and say, oh, this is sticking out.
Yeah.
The difference is 15 years ago, we may have heard tell of a story that this happened, and everybody would have been like, those kids, they were running wild and blah, blah, blah.
There was when I was hanging out in Towson, when I was a punk teenager.
Which is about 15 years ago now.
Loitering in Towson.
At the Commons. Skateboarding were not allowed.
It wouldn't be uncommon for a police officer to, start yelling at people and going like, get out of here! You're not allowed here! And then start yelling things like, I hope your parents have bail money! Right. And stuff like that. Like, we didn't really do anything illegal. Loitering isn't, like, a crime that's, like...
And by the way, you're not loitering. You are hanging out in a public space.
Right.
So there is no loitering in that kind of situation.
But yeah, I mean, there was many times where a cop yelled something at me that I thought was inappropriate. Mm-hmm. But I think my impression, and the impression of many back then, was, we all say things from time to... We all get a little bit carried away.
Right.
I don't think he means that.
And you didn't have a cell phone to record it happening. So.
Yeah. And it's not like I could, what am I really going to do?
Right.
Am I going to go...
My dad's a lawyer.
I'm going to go to the police station and go like, yeah, there was a cop who yelled at me.
Right.
And I'd like to report that cop for yelling at me.
Right.
Like...
But
now that, it's like one story begets another.
Exactly right.
And now I think everybody's just on the lookout for it, which... Again, this is maybe the police apologist part that you're looking at, but not every single one of them is a terrible person.
No,
and I feel bad for the ones that were just trying to put in an honest day.
Can we
trying to be quote unquote good cops, right, and getting having every single move they do scrutinized?
Can we agree this guy was not one of the good cops?
No, this guy went way
right. And, I mean, there's a couple other stories that came out this week about a cop who, in Louisiana, I want to say, who mysteriously, he's had 2 shootings and 3 use of forces, and his camera has mysteriously stopped working during each of those.
Yeah.
But then found later to be operable. And now he finally got fired, and criminal charges are coming. So, one story does begat another story. So now we're looking for it, and we're sensitive to it, and... Don't know that that's a bad thing, but the problem is that their cops aren't helping themselves. That cop did not help himself. He could have easily taken control of the situation without doing all of that. Now, go ahead. Come on, apology.
No, Here's the real problem, I think. Number one, we have a citizenry who's on the lookout for things, which just makes things more difficult for them.
But which is okay and good. That's what we should do.
I'm not saying it's not okay.
All right. I'm watching for your apology. Go ahead.
But remember when when Detroit was about to go out of business, like the automakers in Detroit, and all the stories came out about the union people, where it was like, oh, they get paid $75,000 a year to sleep.
Yeah, what does he do?
And we can't fire him because he has 20 years on the job.
Right.
And if we fire him, then he just gets paid for the rest of his life.
Might as well.
So he might as well have him there sleeping rather than at home sleeping.
Right. Yeah.
At least he's at the job that way.
Well, maybe he'll screw around and actually do some work one day.
And then there was everybody who worked at the union had to stand by the other people in the
right.
The ones who were honestly working have to still be like, oh, Gary the sleeper, he's a good guy. Like, like we're all in it together.
Right.
And the heads of the companies couldn't say like, fuck the unions. I mean, like, they were essentially going like, well, things would be a lot better if these unions weren't running out of control. Right. But I mean, like, they couldn't ever at any point say like, fuck the unions, fuck all these people, they make everything more difficult, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
The police are in a very similar situation. Okay. Whereas if Anthony Batts came out and had a press conference and he's just like, we're trying to do what we can to fix the problems of a city and blah, 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 blah. He's going through his whole thing. You can't just get like 15 cops on camera, like standing there going like, that guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. All right. So first of all, this has been happening for a long time. We just need to fire all the people who are fucking it up for everybody else.
Well, they should do that.
Right. But you can't because it's a union thing and you got to watch out for all your people. And it's not good tact to go out and say like, all I can think about is, have you ever worked at a job where there's like one person who's just like not at all supposed to be there?
Yeah.
Like they're terrible at their job.
Right. Anybody who works food service has had that person.
Yeah. You've had that person who's worthless.
Yeah.
And you say to yourself, or like whenever he's around, you're just like, oh, hey, good job, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Like, way to hustle, like whatever the case may be. And then as soon as he leaves, you're just like, God damn, Jimmy's the worst.
Why do they keep him?
I spend all day just cleaning up after Jimmy.
But do you tell the manager about him?
No.
Right, because we're in this together.
And then if anybody came in the restaurant and they're just like, who's the most worthless person here? I wouldn't be like, Jimmy.
Right. Like, well, we all contribute in our own individual ways.
You stand up for all your fellow people.
Right.
Until Jimmy like stabbed somebody in the dining room, and
I never would have expected it from him. He was such a nice guy.
He's like, oh, Jimmy came here every day. He worked really hard. I didn't think it was going to happen.
Right.
But now that he did it, I guess Jimmy has to go.
The scary thing, though, is that unlike the unions and unlike Jimmy, we give these people firearms and the authority to tell you what to do. That's why I don't like it.
Yeah, but I'm saying like I
but they're not going to break the blue line. Though.
Right. I'm not sort of speaking for like an open revolt amongst the police forces in this country.
I am.
But I think it would be a lot better off if some people were allowed to speak freely.
Yes.
And not have to hide behind a party line, basically.
Well, and you notice that ex-cops and cop trainers are now breaking it. And they're the ones who... There's a guy from McKinney who'd been there for 30 years, and he was like, oh, you think this is... No, this is not the beginning. This has been going on. It was there when I was there.
Right.
Because he's got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. So, he doesn't live in McKinney anymore, so he didn't even have to worry about getting harassed.
Yeah.
But... needless to say, race relations are on edge in the country right now. And
is that the word we'll use?
Race relations?
No, edge. On edge.
We are teetering on the brink. There were also 2 stories this week about crowds who assaulted police officers to free people who were being arrested for petty crimes. So I'm seeing more of those stories. I'm seeing more of the McKinney story. So you got to think that there is some there is an edge there that's waiting. But the whole point of that being that there was another race-related issue, kind of the opposite direction this week too.
This is an odd one. I'm like the sand in the hourglass. I'm wondering how this one.
And it seems like every time the story couldn't get better, it takes a turn.
Yeah,
like the woman who statutory raped her daughter's boyfriend.
Yeah.
And then right when she's about to be sentenced, story takes a left turn. Also the twin brother. Like, what? What? Who saw that coming? And I told you at the game, I'm like, it's like God is taking notes from Days of Our Lives now. He's like, let's throw some spice into this.
I'm so tired of coming up with my own stories.
Let's pick something.
What are they doing on Gen Hospital? Yeah.
To be fair, the story out of Spokane is actually very daytime soapish as well.
So let's set this up,
Yeah.
Because I'm hoping that this is big time news by the time Tuesday rolls around.
Well, I mean, I think it still will be because I think it's connected to the Caitlyn Jenner and accepting transgendered people. That's why I think it'll still be big news. So
possibly,
yeah. Hashtag Caitlyn Jenner.
Just got to figure out a way to get it.
Got it in there. All right.
So how did we learn the pronunciation of the name? I'm sorry.
Oh, damn it. Now you made me forget.
It's not L. Brent Bozell. I know that.
It's not Brent Bozell. It is a...
Because he's the guy who's in charge of the Parent-Teacher Council.
Dolezal.
Yeah. Rachel Dolezal is the head of the Spokane chapter of the NAACP.
Yes. And has been for some time.
Yeah. Which, as you may have learned in school, NAACP is National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
I was hoping you were going to make a mistake. I really was. I was like, oh, is it good? No. Anyway. Also,
National Association of Stock Car Auto Racing.
No, that's not that one.
No. That's a different one.
National Collegiate Athletic Association. No, wrong one. But also, what is her other job?
Or what's SCUBA? Do you know SCUBA?
Self-contained underwater breathing apparatus.
Boom!
Hell yeah, Air 5. King of the acronyms. Anyway, radar?
Oh, god damn it. No.
Range and distance. Oh shit. No, it's radio distance and range. Radio distance and range.
Oh, okay.
Radar. See? In your face. Right.
Anywho.
So yes.
Rachel Dolezal.
Her other job is what? She's the head of the Spokane chapter of the NAACP. She's
also a college professor of African Studies.
Highly regarded in her department and in this field.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So far sounds like a pretty winning cat. It seems like the type of person who would be good for this sort of job.
Expecting this story to take a turn about police brutality or profiling, but no.
Or maybe she got yanked out of her car and pantsed in front of everybody or something like that.
Nobody knew who she was, but she was a big deal. But oh no, wait, there's more.
The story making the rounds on the interwebs is that she is in fact white,
right,
and not black. And why is she the head of the NAACP chapter in Spokane?
Not so much that, because that's the second step away, which is she is white, but she was holding herself out to be black, and then became the head of the NAACP.
Mm.
So that's the big question. It's not so much whether or not that's the secondary question. Now that we know, should she stay the head of the NAACP chapter?
Well, I don't think we know shit.
We don't know. She doesn't answer any damn questions.
Yeah,
which I love. I don't understand the question. I asked are you African American? I'm just having a little trouble. I'm sorry.
We're all American. Thank you very much. See ya.
She's pulling an SRB. An SRB move.
Don't get it twisted.
Yeah. Listen.
I would love it. I would love nothing more if she just says, like, listen 15 times and then just walks away. It's just like, are you African American? Listen. All right, bye.
So, she has been big in Spokane about police brutality and being racially profiled.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was on the news, and then her parents just basically were like, I don't know how she's being racially profiled. She's white. We are of European descent. And then this whole thing was like, and now we have this. And, one feeling or the other, does it matter that she's not black? In those two roles of jobs, does it matter that she's not black?
No.
Okay. I would agree, because I think we've said before, there are plenty of people of all cultures and races in the struggle for generalized rights.
Right.
But is it right to hold yourself out as a race that is not your own?
It's just You know what it's like? It's like a woman's group being led by a man.
Right.
You know, if Gary Bettman quits being NHL commissioner and like starts running like women's studies or something like that at Overly and
But it's actually more like, what if Caitlyn Jenner was leading a feminist movement? Oh, I've struck on something there.
I don't really get the. I mean, I get where you're going with that.
Because she said that she wasn't acting black, is that she identified with the black community and with being a black person, therefore she was black. And what have we said about Caitlyn Jenner? She identifies, she feels like a woman, she identifies with them, therefore she's becoming a member of their community. So.
I think there's you know what the problem is?
Okay. Now, what is it?
Is that we're in the first wave of it.
Right. No.
We're in the first wave of public, like, sort of, like, and everybody wants to be accepting.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think everybody who was gay bashing
right
during the time where that was acceptable,
right,
like, you know, outwardly acceptable.
By the way, did you hear about the soccer guy who got tossed from the game?
No.
He called an opponent gay as a slur.
Yeah.
And the ref didn't even... He was just like, oh,
just
red card. You're out. Yeah, that was it. It's the first time it's happened.
FIFA's cracking down.
Well, they got enough problems. So. Anyway, so... back when it was okay to be homophobic.
Yeah, but I mean, like, we're in the first wave of it. Right. So, right now, you know, Bruce Jenner becomes Caitlyn Jenner. Mm-hmm. Oh, good for her. You know, this Rachel Dolezal identifies as black and heads up an NAACP chapter. Mm. Yeah, good for her. She can, you know, whatever. But when we've known plenty of wannabe black kids.
Right. And I use the example of Tom Hanks' son.
Yeah, but like, you know, the kid who just like openly, like all the time, like just like sitting in his basement smoking weed and just going like, you know, like, oh son, you know how we do, you know, just like acting black all the time.
Right.
Or not even acting black, but acting like he imagines black people all act.
Right. Not
which
that
is
they
almost
do
the
act.
worst.
Yeah.
Because like, no, like, take it from somebody who knows many black people. I'm not trying, you know.
I have three black friends.
I'll have you know that I have 4 black friends.
Right.
But, you know, not every single black person is the same. Don't, you know, like, it's call back to Entourage. Like, anytime Johnny Drama has to talk to black people, and he always puts on his, like, hey, I'm looking for this slick motherfucker by the name of Saigon. Anybody seen, you know, like, he puts on this whole, like, thing.
Right, yeah.
Like, it's... We're at the point right now where we're accepting, and then there's going to be a point where, you know, I don't know.
Enough's enough.
Well, yeah, like, I don't know, Colin Firth just decides that he wants to be black.
Right.
He's just like, yo, what's up? And then we're all just like, hold on a second, I think you're crossing a very delicate line here.
Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder. Oh, my. You've gone too far.
You've gone too far.
Right.
And, like, the worst is going to be the people, like, ahead of its time, the episode of South Park where Mr. Garrison...
Yes, sex change and become a dolphin.
Right, all that. Because, like, her whole thing the entire time was just like, oh, man, I can't wait to get pounded in my vag. Like, it was just, like, all front and center about it. Like, all he cared about was being able to say these things out loud. Like, I've been living a lie.
Was that the scissoring episode?
That was one of...
the scissoring?
Yeah. Oh, Sesame Timbers. But, like, I have nothing but support and love for the people who honestly feel, for lack of a better term, trapped.
Right.
You know, I identify as a woman. I identify as a man, you know.
Right.
The racial one doesn't really speak to me the same way the gender one does.
Right.
Because, you know, that's more about family than it is about, like, you know, No, because I mean, like, you
Well,
know,
no, and the thing is that there is no difference in race when it comes to people.
right?
You know, it's the kid who's over the top, but I also know the guy who just hangs out with mostly black people.
Yeah.
And I can identify him and I can say that's who he's around and that's how he acts.
Right.
That doesn't mean that he's trying to appropriate the culture. It doesn't mean he thinks that he is in that culture. It just means that that's how he is.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
But when you're talking about gender, it's a whole different thing because that's a
but like, so I'm Irish,
right.
like, if all of a sudden I got like really into Japanese culture.
Well, and there are those guys.
Yeah, and I like started saying like, no, really, I'm Japanese, like, or I feel like I'm Japanese. Like,
No.
there's nothing really about it that like connects me to it other than a fondness for
Right.
like the feelings of it. So
Right.
it's almost like
This is
I can feel the part of somebody who is transgender, who says, you know, like, for as long as I've been able to recognize it, I felt like I was a woman
right.
trapped inside of a man's body. And now this is my opportunity to truly express who I am.
Right.
Like, brava to you. Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know anybody who like, you know, I don't know some German guy who's like, you know, all my life I've felt like I was, you know, an Irish person.
Right.
Like, I felt the pains of having to work for no wages on a railroad. Like, like it's deep within me. I know this feeling.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to get drunk and pass out in the street. It's just like, well, you know, we're the Irish. We don't really, or not all. Let's not bring that up as a thing that we do.
Right.
It's like, no, but I feel that on the inside. I love getting blackout drunk. It's just like, yeah, all right, come on, seriously.
Yeah, calm down.
Yeah, bring it down a little bit. It's just like, no, but seriously, I love that Guinness. It's like, all right, man, you're German, all right? Can we just stop? You're German.
I think it's Oliver Wendell Holmes in the 1920s was asked to define pornography.
Yeah.
This is, I would say, by the same definition. I can't tell you what it is, but I know it when I see it.
Right.
And when the transgender movement, I can see that, and it means one thing, and it is one thing, and this whole appropriation culture is something else. Now, to be fair, though, she has not said that she is black. She has held herself out to be black, and that's one of those things where you just don't correct people.
Yeah.
But you know what? If somebody came up to me in college and were like, "Hey, aren't you the guy who invented Napster?" And apparently, I look like that guy. And they were like,
then, and
right,
we gotta get a side by side of you and Sean Fanning.
But if I was that, and because of that, they said, by the way, come out to Vegas because we're doing a convention on internet technology. We'd love for you to come on our private jet. And I don't correct them, and I go, that's not the same as saying I am that guy. I'm just allowing people to have the misconception.
I'm going to make a
wildly racist comment. Go ahead.
No. Jackie Robinson was part of the reason why integration happened in baseball is because there were players in the Negro Leagues who were so incredible that they could help a team win.
And if you're a businessman, you wanted your team
to win. You just want a winning team. Right. You don't, like...
That's what his coach said, too, right?
They tried to... Branch Rickey, the general manager, he said there were many attempts before Jackie Robinson to try and break baseball's color barrier. And it always sort of hit the political side of it, where they couldn't do it. It would be too much trouble. It would be too much. But Branch Rickey wasn't like, you know, some sort of like, well, I'm just going to fuck these guys and bring a black player in anyway. No. And just like, he wants to win.
You want to win a World Series? I got a guy.
He brings in a player who can help them win.
Yep.
And he's willing to you know, deal with it. And Jackie's willing to deal with it. And that's really the more important one.
Right.
Jackie's willing to deal with it. But it helps them win. So that's the end game.
Right.
So in a way, I don't really care if somebody who isn't black is the head of an NAACP chapter, if it helps the cause.
The movement, yeah. Go through the movement.
If it's better for their organization to have her than, you know, some, you know, like random black guy who's really involved in the community, then sure, you guys can do whatever you want.
But no, somebody shouldn't just get that job because they're black. and she shouldn't get that job just because she's white. It's about being passionate about the movement, and
right?
furthering the cause.
I just wonder at what point this is going to become a affirmative action story, because that's going to be a jettison topic that happens at some point.
Yeah.
Because somebody's going to be like, well, why do I have to lose my job to a black guy, but then a white girl can be the head of the NAACP?
Right. Yeah. It's going to go very negative places, and that's why I think it'll stay a story.
It's going to. There are many tentacles on this octopus.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And speaking of the movement, you like that transition? Yeah. So
you're just all on these transitions today.
On it today. So it's not the movement, which was my first book published in November, but as we said, we are. Oh, do you have a copy? Hey, look at that! The Movement Insurrection available on Amazon. This is not a movement book. It's
it's burning my hands.
Oh, it's so hot! I'm on fire.
I think it's actually made of acid.
I thought we recalled those. Anyway, so it's in the same universe, but it's not the same book. This book is called Faux, and it'll be available on Amazon today.
Spell that for me, please.
That's Faux.
And if you go to ootheanthem.com, there will be a graphic there where you can click on it and go directly to Amazon and purchase it if you wish.
Well, there you go. So,
we're not forcing you to, but,
so I thought we would
help a brother out.
And the Kindle book is actually very affordable. I mean, so is the paperback for that, but the Kindle is definitely affordable.
I'm pretty sure it's 10 cents.
I think it's more than that.
Okay, well, if it's more than 10 cents, Rob will give you money back.
Hey, now listen, I didn't make any promises about that. So I thought I would kick off by just doing reading the first part of the first chapter.
Well, before we get into that,
okay, go ahead. Yeah,
can I ask some?
Sure, hit me up. Let's do that.
First, what is this book about?
Okay, so the title is Faux, and it's a play on words in some ways. It's a pun in some ways because there are many different definitions of just the word foe and its homonyms. So there is somebody who you're fighting against. That's a foe. A foe also has the meaning of being fake or a knockoff of reality. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's that plays in. But the book is about the main character's name is Christopher Bishop. He is an attorney, and the major crux of the story is that he has 3 lives, if you will. His first life is as an attorney, and he's mildly good at his job, and he's popular, and he's successful, and he meets a girl who fits in with that life. And then he has another part of his life that is more dingy. It's drugs and strip clubs and living on the other side of town, if you will. Yeah. And he meets a girl in that part of his life. And then so he has these 2 things warring about these 2 sides of his life and how they come together and how they drive him apart. And in the mix with all of this stuff is this huge secret that he's keeping from everybody, which is that he has a bloodthirst, if you will. He has an addiction to carnage and murder. That's really what it comes down to. So he's trying to balance this very straight and narrow woman in a straight and narrow life with a very not straight and narrow woman and the lifestyle that they have. And in between is this other factor of him just having this desire that he can't come to terms with, and trying to play each of those things off of the other. And obviously that there will be a crux at the end where it's a decision between these 3. A house divided against itself cannot stand. So you can't have a guy who has 3 different...
Did you just write that?
I did. It's amazing, yeah. Trademark. So if he's been divided like this, only one thing can win out in the long run. So we find out how that plays out.
Follow-up question.
I thought you were about to Jiminy Glick me.
Do you find yourself...
Yeah.
Follow-up question.
Sure.
The movement was very political.
Yes.
And has many overtones to sort of like what's happening in real life now.
Right.
Is Faux as political?
Not as political. If I was to again, I'd like to create a universe, and all of my projects will exist in the same world. So the things that are talked about at the beginning of the movement are mentioned in the book, in Faux.
Mm-hmm.
But they're mentioned because all that does is create a timeline. I'm creating a timeline of events that's leading forward. So there is some mention of politics. It's not political at all. There is no government. There is no overthrow. There is no nothing. This is a story of two people living in the current to near future. So, and being a successful socialite, for lack of a better term, it is a little bit of a commentary about how above it they all are. Like, they hear these stories, these things are happening, but it doesn't really impact their life.
Right.
And just because, I mean, in a way, I can't keep the politics out. I love politics. It's part of my life. But I did want to have, it's a companion piece to the movement, because you can see that this is why the things in the movement may have happened, because there was this detachedness amongst the rich. But certainly not as political. It's not about the revolution. None of that stuff.
Well, that's good.
Yes.
It was kind of dry.
Well, and I got to tell you this. So, if you are appalled by adult language,
mm-hmm.
if you're basically, if you can't watch HBO, you're not going to enjoy the book. There is adult language, there's adult content, there's sex, graphic sex, drug use. Nothing is depicted in detail. I mean, this is not erotica, but there is sexual.
It's not
situations.
50 Shades of Grey.
Well, actually, if you were to ask me to give an idea of what it is, it's American Psycho meets 50 Shades of Grey. Because it's about somebody who has this secret life that's hidden, and there are aspects of it that are somewhat shady, if you will. But it's not 50 Shades of Grey in the way that let's go into every intimate detail of the sex itself.
Right.
It is setting up these sexualized situations. So,
well, I read the book eventually. It took a while.
Yes.
Because I'm the world's slowest reader. Because basically what I do is I when I have it printed out in front of me, I'm like, Christopher Bishop was a attorney in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's
not in Maryland, by the way. Not in Maryland.
Well, I'm just saying.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And I'm just going through, and I'm like, you know, it takes me that long to get through the whole thing.
Right.
Because I'm mildly retarded.
So you found the reading thing where it read it to you.
Yeah.
The audible book without an audible book.
Right, where I took notes just based off of what I heard.
Right.
And there was lots of mentions in there that I thoroughly enjoyed.
There's a lot of Easter eggs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things hidden in there.
Yeah.
They're Easter eggs for my friends, mostly. But there are some mentions about other stuff that will be coming or has come in other books.
Well, there's a Baker in there, too.
There's a William Baker.
Yeah.
Who is a pseudonym of Chris Bishop that he uses. Basically, everyone that I know is mentioned in the book in one role or the other. And, I mean, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
That the working title of this book was Photobiography. And it started out being just that. The inspiration for the book was my assistant saying, and God only knows how you get off on this conversation, but just saying, killing someone, please, you're not capable of that. And that line is actually in the book. And so the whole thing was, I mean, outside of work, everything is so compartmentalized in our lives now. Like, I would never bring my work friends to hang out with the posse. And the posse might stop by work, but they're not going to get to know them in any measurable way.
Yeah.
And then I have friends here, and they're all kind of compartmentalized. And in that kind of society, where everything is kind of public, if you choose to keep something very secret, it could exist outside of the lines of all these groups. Because again, I got a work thing that I got to go to, and then I tell my other friends that, or I tell my work people that, I got a thing with the posse that I got to go to. No, everybody thinks I'm somewhere else. Perfectly explainable. And my time is my own at that point. So that's how it started. It started out with me telling a story about myself in which there was a subplot of murder. And then as life has happened, as the story gets told, I heard a story once about, I think it was Leonardo da Vinci, or it may have been Michelangelo or Donatello. Or possibly Raphael. It was one of the Ninja Turtles. I know that for sure. Who said that...
or Shredder.
he doesn't carve the wood, or he doesn't carve the marble. That he just chips away and reveals the object that's hidden underneath.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how my writing style works. It's the story takes it off on its own.
Well, I can understand that, because the first draft of About That Time I Fell in Love that I wrote was very semi-autobiographical.
Right, yeah.
And as I wrote it, it's strayed where it needed to be more entertaining or...
Right.
But now that I'm going through it again to prepare it for shooting, there's a lot of moments where I say to myself, well, I can really amp it up by doing this instead.
Right. Yeah.
So you start with something that's true to you, that feels like you, and then you take that skeleton and go okay, what can I do to change it? What can I...
And that's what I'm doing with another book that's coming up next spring. The Calls there's a lot of that in there, where it started out. It is 100% autobiographical now, and I'm adding some stuff in. The good thing about being me and living my life, though, is that I have a lot of these interesting fucking stories that I can pull from, and I change the names and I change a little bit of the details, but it's essentially the same story. So that was the good thing. The two major women in his life are based on real women from my life. A lot of the stories that you're going to hear, and it's, I told you before, I am more proud of this than I am anything that I've done in my life. I think that is absolutely well done, if I do say so myself, and I'm so happy with the result. When I got done the movement, it was a lot of, I've had this thing in my head for 10 years, and I just have to get it out.
Right.
And I finally did. And then this was the first thing that I literally sat down and said, I want to write something. And I had an idea, and I just rolled with it.
Yeah.
Instead of having that obsession to try and get it done. So.
Well, I will say this before you get into a little excerpt for us.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding about me being a fucking terrible reader. It's a problem.
Yeah.
The ADHD doesn't help, but
Certainly.
I'm just a terrible reader, and it's always been a problem of mine. And if you give me something dry, it takes forever.
Right. How are you doing on the entrepreneur book?
Not good. Not good.
Okay.
But it's what I really like about your writing is that it feels it's somewhat conversational, the way that it's written, almost like somebody regaling you with the story.
Right.
And it's very, you get put into the situation very easily. You feel like you're in the place where, and it reads quickly. I mean, I really,
one of the most flattering
as somebody who has trouble reading at a good pace, I found it very very engaging and very fun to read,
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I have to say, one of the biggest compliments I've had from people who have read both is that seems to be the style of writing. So I'm glad that that's how it works, but that people are reading it in their own head in my voice, and that it does sound like someone's telling them a story. And second, that I try to be as descriptional as possible, so that the first, who these people are, where they are, and it plays out almost like a movie in your head, that you're following the movie. So,
all right. Well, you wanna give us a little taste?
I do. All right. So oh crap. I'm gonna do a couple of. Oh man. Of course I just screwed it up. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read a couple of excerpts from different places in the book. Again, it's available on Amazon now. Faux, F-A-U-X. You can follow Faux Novel on Twitter and Faux Novel on Facebook. Please, you can check out all the information there. So I'm going to read from Chapter 1, the very opening of the book, where we meet Chris Bishop for the first time.
And just so everybody doesn't worry that this is going to get too dry, every once in a while I'm just going to yell out the word titties.
And feel free to chime in with any thoughts that you had. Okay, so Chapter 1.
Titties.
Mr. Bishop, the whiteness of the noise disturbed the black clearness of his mind. A water drip in a silent house at midnight. A fly buzzing around a family picnic. An itch while giving a presentation. Something small and simple that consumes a person's focus. Mr. Bishop. There it was again. The sing-song voice pierced the stillness of the moment. It was amazing how such an otherwise sweet voice could remind him of fingernails on a chalkboard. Shit. He'd lost his train of thought now. What was he doing? Christopher. It was more insistent. It required his attention. Thus, he did not like it. He could barely keep the lid on the boiling stress and anger already, and this annoyance was not helping. He had been doing so well. He had controlled himself so well. For 97 days now. 97 days. He had been straight edge. No sex, no drugs, no alcohol. Just the burn, the desire. He was hoping to find clarity or something. Center himself, but it wasn't working. Every day it seemed worse. Simmering, brewing, and boiling just under the lid. Chris! Snapped back to reality and seething. What? He turned and yelled in the direction of the voice. Suddenly, it was as if the mist dissipated and the fog rolled back, and she stood right in front of him, now that he had turned. Short, skinny, and blonde, right in his wheelhouse, if the situation had been different, if he didn't need her. She stood there, mouth agape, clearly stunned. He felt something, a pang of some sort. Not in his chest or his stomach, but somewhere in between. Like the phantom ache of a lost limb. He didn't react. She quickly recovered. It wasn't in the job description, and she wouldn't have taken the job if she had known, but it had become a part of the daily routine. Outburst of anger, being ignored for hours, 1 minute feeling like a partner, the next feeling like an indentured servant, but she couldn't leave. So, that is the intro to the book. We've met Chris. We've met Natalie, who is his assistant.
Yeah.
Loosely based on my assistant. And that is, when I say photobiography, that's generally the kind of the give and take that she and I have. That's a little back and forth. So,
I would like to say, you know what? I saw this after I read Faux.
Mm-hmm.
So it has kind of a different reaction.
Sure.
I'm sure other people would have done it in the other way, but there were many times where I was going through Faux where I kind of had like that House of Cards feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I'm watching House of Cards, I was like thinking I knew what was coming up next, and then all of a sudden something would happen. I'd just be like, "Oh shit!
Yeah.
Like, oh really?
Yeah.
Like, oh my god! Like, no, really?" And then like the next couple episodes pass, and you're just like, "When is this gonna come up again?" And
right.
You're just like
waiting for that.
You're just like it's nervous tension where you're just like waiting for, like when is this gonna like, rear its ugly head again? And Faux has a lot of that, like
right.
a lot of like the
now,
moments of like
the movement. I think was a lot easier to do that because there were several character groups. So you build to a point and then you switch to a new character,
right? And
it leaves you saying like, "Well, I got to read until I figure out what happened with Teddy."
Yeah.
But now I'm getting into this thing with Luke or with Mark, and now I want to see what happens to Mark, and now we're back to Teddy, and so I get the payoff for Teddy, but now I'm worried about Mark. Like I like reading books like that. I thought other people would too. So that's kind of how it goes.
But with this one, you're following Chris. I think Chris is on every page.
Chris is on every single page. It is mostly from his perspective. There are things that happen outside, but around him. So you have a very godlike perspective, but you can also hear his thoughts in a way. So what I always picture when I'm writing it, especially stuff like this, is like the old Hitman games. Or some where you are up and above the character looking over his shoulder, but you can still hear what's going on in his head. And like if you lean around the corner, you can hear the conversation somebody's having nearby. Just that kind of thing. Sometimes we span out a little bit and see characters, but for the most part, it's focused on him. So, so I think I will skip down to. Oh, ow!
How dare you?
Whoops. So
somebody's drunk.
I'm going to skip some of the stuff that I was going to talk about how he became who he is. And we're going to go to when Chris meets one of the women in his life, who is a woman named Kennedy.
Ho ho holiday party.
So anybody who's been listening to the podcast for a while has heard us brought up the ho ho holiday party. And Kennedy was a fucking character. She wasn't as good as what was the other girl's name?
Gabriella.
But she was hot and Oh, I just had a huge crush on her, and I get crushed on strippers, so that happens. So, just to set up a little bit, Chris is at a strip club. He is looking to relax, and he has a great relationship with the owner of the club, who says, "There's a new girl, and you're going to love her. I'm going to go tell her to get on stage right now." So he sees her come up on stage, and he takes her all in, and then this is his reaction. And I think it also gives a little insight to his mentality. And when you're talking about two different situations in his life, this is his perspective in this one situation, if you will. And feel free to jump in if you have comments or questions.
Will do.
Also, Kennedy is, if you want to picture her in your mind, she's about 5'2", very thin and blonde. Not super thin, but not overly muscled.
Titties.
Muscled either. Well proportioned. If anybody who knows me, basically girls that I date. So they
the ones in the wheelhouse.
The ones in the wheelhouse. As the blonde moved, Chris could feel himself relax. This is what he loved about the clubs. If you had just the right buzz and just the right girl, you felt like you were the only guy in the room.
Titties.
She wasn't always looking at him, but he had the feeling that Nick had let her know he was there and that he'd be paying special attention to her. There are different kinds of guys at the club, an entire spectrum, if you will. On the far left, you'll find the guys that want girls to get naked as quickly as possible, Corey, and then just prance around naked on stage for 2 songs.
I don't think that part was in the book.
Oh, no, that was my addition.
Oh, you're improv in here?
Yeah. Generally, these are the guys who get inappropriate with their touching and tipping. They ask the girl to touch themselves or to do other sexual acts. They're the guys asking for $20 blowjobs in the champagne room. On the other end of the spectrum, there are guys that like the tease. Generations before, they would have enjoyed a burlesque show. They don't care about the nudity.
Actually, can I cut in here for a second?
Go ahead.
When I was 18, I went to a strip club.
Right.
And somebody offered me $35 blowjob and a fuck.
Right.
And I remember saying to myself at the time that seemed like an entirely too low of a price.
Right.
Be like if somebody was just like, "Hey, you want to buy this brand new Mustang? It's only $20."
Right. Yeah.
You're just like, should be more than that.
Right.
Is there people who expect $20 blowjobs? It feels like that's a discount price.
Having been involved with somebody in the adult entertainment business, I can tell you that request has been made. That's where that comes from. So,
I just feel like that's a. I mean, I don't know. I've never ever paid for that level of
care.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
Any strip club I've ever been to has always been sort of like about the dollars on the stage, or like a dance in the back, but nothing that could possibly transfer an infectious disease.
Right, yeah. I've never paid for sex other than in a traditional "we're dating, so I have to take you out" kind of way. Because as we know, Rob thinks that dating is prostitution.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You get?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay.
I'm just amused by $20 blowjobs.
Enjoyed a burlesque show. They don't care about the nudity. It's the act of stripping that they enjoy. The tease, the slow reveal, that's what they want. Some of these guys don't even need her to get naked by the end, because it's not that important. Chris was closer to the second type, but with one caveat. It might take 1.5 songs to get naked, but she better be naked by the end. The tease was great, but only if there was a payoff. Too many women had learned that about him. Despite the fact that this beautiful woman was gyrating half naked before his eyes, it was really the memories of those girls that got his body reacting. His eyes were on her, but his mind was lost in 1,000 memories. He was thinking about Jackie, the first girl that he had met when he moved into his college dorm. So, you get a little perspective on Chris. He's good with the build-up, but it's all about the payoff. Jackie was also the first girl that I met when I moved into my freshman dorm. The story that follows did not happen. That is fiction. I made that up, just so that's clear when you're reading the book.
Well, what I do enjoy when I notice a name that I know.
Right.
And I do enjoy that oftentimes that name has nothing to do with the person that, like...
No.
Like, I'll recognize it. It'd be like if I wrote a book and I had a character named Rob Cheek, and he was, like, always playing Dungeons and Dragons, and...
Right, yeah.
He's like, I have a new elf. Like...
But just recognizing the person.
Right. You would say like, oh, I know Rob Cheek.
Not that guy.
That's not him.
Well, see if this reminds you of anything.
Okay.
We're cutting to later in that same scene. I'm Kennedy, she said. And before you ask, yes, that's my real name. Chris picked up his drink and chuckled as he took a sip. Sure it is, sweetheart. What? She said. I'm serious. Okay, Chris said. Some ground rules. Kennedy, right? She nodded. Good. Chris continued. You don't have to do the hard sell. You'll make more tonight than most of your nights. You don't have to lie to me, and you don't have to tell me anything about you that you don't want to. Frankly, I don't care. If I ask, it's just because I'm making conversation. The girl looked surprised. Nick knows me well. Nick is the owner of the club, by the way. Nick knows me well. Nick, by the way, fashioned after another Nick that we know.
Yeah.
So, Nick knows me well. Chris finished. He knows what I like, physically anyway, and you hit the genetic lottery as far as I'm concerned. If you can keep my attention, then you'll keep that seat. You'll make money and you'll be entertained, and I'll be entertained. It's a win-win. Deal? The girl looked confused. Deal, I guess. Okay, Chris said, handing her a glass. So tell me about you. So that's basically how the first conversation with Kennedy went.
Yeah.
It was, listen, I dated somebody who does this. You don't need to hard sell me. You seem fun. Just be honest with me and hang out here and we'll be cool. So, the last thing I want to read is what I consider to be the best part of the book. And it is the first time that Chris is meeting CJ, his the woman who is the other woman in his life.
Right, the other side.
And this has never happened to me. This is a fictional scene, but I just enjoy it so much. And I can't wait for other people to read everything that's around it. But this is one of the best things I think I've ever written. And I don't know if it's because the emotional connection to it, because like I want that to happen. I want that situation to happen. And I'm going to intro the paragraph, and then I'm going to skip down. The characters that we're going to meet are CJ.
Well,
go ahead.
What I do like is sometimes when you write about something that's ecstatic,
yeah,
like if you write about like falling in love, there's that feeling you have inside where you've sort of like fallen in love yourself, like
right.
you've coaxed it into your own in mind,
yeah, and
you get to experience it like, you know, with the character that you're writing. Right. So, like, there's a time where and this happens, too, when I write, like, depressing shit.
Same thing.
Like, afterwards, I'm just like, I really don't want anybody around me. I just sort of want to be miserable and alone. And then, you know, so on and so forth. But.
Right. So, if you have ever fallen in love, for those of you who can remember the moment where you met the person who, like, most impacted your life, that's what Chris is about to experience. So. The characters are CJ, Chris, and a guy named Jim, who is he's somebody who knows CJ and does the introduction. So,
can I pry a little too?
Sure, go ahead.
How much of the naming of CJ has to do with CJ Craig?
It is partially to do with CJ Craig. You will when you read, you will see a lot of that. Like I hold down my shit from CJ Craig, the snarkiness, the knowledgeableness in a way that is like so. I don't particularly find the actress
Allison Janney
attractive. I had a weird sex dream about her that repeated back in college, but I think it was because I was watching West Wing with you all the time, and I think that's why it happened. But I'm not particularly attracted to her. But as CJ, I am just enthralled by her. Right, and it's all about her personality. So. Ironically, the other person who it's based on, the physical description is based on, is actually also a CJ. So, CJ, if you're listening, I hope you enjoy. She's already read this part. I sent it to her. And it was so weird because I wrote it completely independent. And then maybe 3 weeks later, she posted pictures on Facebook wearing the exact outfit that I fictionally described weeks before.
Can I take a quick sidebar here? Yeah. Something weird like that happened this week. Okay. Kent went to Hershey.
Right, yeah.
And we're talking about amusement parks, and I start going on about Adventure World and the Mind Eraser. Mm. Yeah.
Old Adventure World.
Yeah.
What was it before Adventure World?
Water World?
No. Wild World.
Wild World.
Water Park.
Yeah.
Wild World Water Park.
And now it's Six Flags America.
Right.
But I remember it as Adventure World.
It'll always be Adventure World.
but you know, we're all like talking about Adventure World and stuff like that, and I even like pull up the Mind Eraser on YouTube on my phone and then Chromecast it.
Right.
So it's like we're, you know, one of those ones where it's like a GoPro on a chest and like you experience it like you're riding it. The very next day, my brother texts me out of nowhere and he goes, "Hey, what was the name of that theme park that is now Six Flags America? But what was it before? I can't remember. Is it Adventure World or something like that?" I'm just like,
yeah.
How fucking random is this? Just like out of nowhere, he just like texts me. He's just like, "Hey, what's that amusement park you were talking about last night?"
Right.
Like,
but it's something in the ether. It's the things that connect us. It's the things that we don't understand yet. But that is and that's the crazy stuff that I love about. And when you read that book, The Calls, which I'm so stoked for other people to read too because I think it's just that good. Keep in mind with that book that all of that actually happened, and Corey can independently testify to some of that stuff. Anyway. So CJ is based on CJ Craig, which is actually where the name came from.
Listen, if I'm pleading the fifth.
Right, yes.
If asked to testify, I'm pleading the fifth.
Right, yeah, for all the things that happened there.
But if you come up to me just like, you know, at a cocktail party or something like that and ask me about it, I'll go like, "No, I ain't talking."
Wink, wink. Yeah.
Wink, wink. I ain't
talking.
I
forgot we had video. Yeah, they can see the wink. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so.
Hold on a second. Let me just wipe my brow.
There you go.
It's good
Send
now.
a secret
Good
message.
now.
Yeah. All right. So, again, Chris, CJ, and Jim. Chris couldn't have been any less comfortable. It wasn't the tux. He was fine in any kind of clothing. It was the people around him. He hated these pretentious events. But the only way to make partner...
I got to intersect with the tux thing.
Yeah.
Just thinking about Jack Donaghy.
Yeah. It's after 6.
What am I, a farmer?
Yeah, Chris is not like that. Chris hates dressing up. So, also, this is the bit about me where going to shit that I don't want to go to, dressing in a way I don't want to, because you have to.
Right.
It was the only way to make partner and to get anywhere in this town was to be seen at the right events and meet the right people. Not that he specifically wanted to get anywhere, but a man of his age and his position was supposed to want to get somewhere. He didn't want to arouse any suspicions. It was already suspicious enough that he wasn't married or even close to that milestone at his age. So he sat down at a table, having discussions with people that made him want to dig out his own eyeballs and cut his own throat. He took a big slug from the glass in his hand. Ice rattled at the bottom as he put it back on the table. Suddenly he felt a hand on his shoulder, and he looked up, but didn't recognize the face. "Mr. Bishop?" the man asked. "It looks like you need a fresh drink. Would you like to join me at the bar?" "Sure," Chris answered, looking around the table. "Excuse me, please." And I'm going to skip down a little bit to...
This is just good pod.
Sorry, yeah. I should have cut out this before. So Jim wants him to do something, and he doesn't want to do it. But we're skipping down to somewhere else. Chris started zoning out from Jim's words. He was distracted. His gaze fell to the top of the staircase entering the ballroom. At the top of the stairs was one of the most beautiful women he had ever seen. She was striking in a shimmering champagne-colored gown. It had a single strap over her left shoulder and clung perfectly around her hips and fluttered loosely around her calves, which were visible through the thigh-high slits on both sides. Her red lipstick, although not too bright, set off her amber hair perfectly. The gold accents, earrings, rings, and bracelets made her pale skin glow, even with the freckles. Each looked like they were perfectly placed by some master artist. The final touches were the red pumps and the gold and red clutch, both of which matched the lipstick and jewelry perfectly. She was perfection. Chris realized he had not heard a thing that Jim had said. He turned towards him, but found Jim staring at him with a goofy smile. "Sorry," Chris apologized. "I was distracted. You were saying?" "I was saying," Jim said, pointing at the girl, "she is worth 1,000 of the women that you typically date." "That I typically date?" Chris asked, turning towards the girl who was now making her way elegantly down the staircase and into the room. "Yeah," Jim continued, "at least 1,000 Kennedys." Chris whipped his head around, but Jim continued to watch the girl make her way through the crowd. "And," he continued, "no matter how big a deal you think you are, you're not a big enough deal for her." "What's that supposed to mean?" Chris asked. "In your world, you're a big deal. I know that," Jim said, "but she wants more. Why is she still single despite being the most eligible bachelorette in the city? She wants someone who's going somewhere, someone who wants and expects more of themselves and of everyone else." Jim waved towards her, and she came in his direction. He leaned forward and whispered in Chris's ear, "I can make you that, Mr. Bishop." Chris was in awe. If it was possible, she got more beautiful the closer she got. Now, when she was standing only a foot away from him, she was positively angelic. Ugh. That whole scene, and
I do like when you write something that you really like, and then you share it with somebody, and then like right before we started, when I was talking about like
that scene that
one line too, like it's not even that like. It's not even like the greatest writing in the world, but I just like the way it all tied together. It was just like, could it possibly just be the table? Like,
right. And there are, I made fun of you for so long. I mean, we've touched on this at the podcast before. I wasn't a creative. I made fun of creative people. I was like, you're wasting your fucking life. And then I got out of law school with $250,000 in debt. And I was like, oh, maybe I could just like not pay my loans and write all the time. Wouldn't that be nice? So I found it later, but. And you've talked about that before with other stuff too. It was always that, you like doing this, you like doing that, you were involved, and it was like a whole payoff. And now I get that. Now I get that whole sense. So
it's worth all the hours that you struggle for the minutes that you write something that you really like are crazy about.
The biggest payoff I think of all was I had the same crew of people that I give books to review, you and Brandy and Cherish. And I let them all read and edit and give me some suggestions. And I actually let Ann, podcast Ann, read this as well. And in the same morning, I got messages from all three that were like, fuck you. I started reading it at 10, thinking I'd be able to just read a little bit and go to bed. And next thing I knew, it was 3 in the morning, and I had to put it down. And now I'm going to, as soon as I get home from work, I'm going to start reading again because I have to see it. And, like, that is the kind of shit that it's like, I don't care if it's good or not. I care that people like it.
Yeah.
And I care that it made a connection to people, and apparently it does. So.
Well, and, don't let me speak for you, but,
sure.
like...
I would never.
I would, I don't trust what you're going to say.
Exactly.
This is part of the artistic in me, where I would rather have 1,000 people come up to me and say, like, oh man, it really spoke to me, and I really love it, and I'm inspired by it, or whatever the case may be, than make, I'd rather have 1,000 people tell me they love it than one Oscar.
Exactly, and that's the thing is,
or like number one on the New York Times bestseller list or something like that.
I would love for that, but it's not important.
Right. It's not as important to me as having people tell me that they like it. And not because I need the gratification of having people tell me that they like it. Mm-hmm. But just like, it makes you feel like you did it for a reason.
Right.
Like there's a purpose behind it. And if you're able to touch somebody in a way, appropriately, don't get all crazy about it. But
well, and speaking of inappropriate, I do want to read one other portion. And because I realized that all of that was kind of like lovey-dovey and rom-com style. This is the other part of it when I say...
Well, this is a romance novel. So.
It's not a romance novel. It's a romance novel in the same way that American Psycho is. Or that. Can
we get a picture of Fabio?
No, on the front cover?
No, just in general. Like whenever you're reading, I just like a picture of Fabio.
Can I get you to put on a blonde wig and be shirtless on a horse? And I'll take that picture.
I don't think anybody wants that. It's just not like... These aren't abs.
They're abs belly. There. They're just covered, so it's fine. I got killer abs.
Thank God we have video.
All right, so this is...
I'm just going to do one of those ones where I like Sharpie on abs.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All right, so...
And from a distance, nobody knows.
Press yourself up against the chain link fence.
From a distance, nobody knows the difference.
There you go. Just remember that when we're in North Carolina. Just draw it on every morning.
Right.
All right, so this is when I say there's adult content in the book. This is about there is some graphic stuff in there, but this is what you can expect as far as that's concerned. Those were the thoughts flashing through his mind at the moment. Maybe it shouldn't have been, given the circumstances. He was inside Kennedy at the time, but he was the only thing inside. They were standing on a balcony. Well, he was standing on it. She was sitting on the railing. She had her feet hooked behind his shoulders. His hand was around her throat, and her head and chest were hanging out into the void, 20 stories up. She had her eyes closed, but when she opened them and turned her head to look down, he could feel her body writhing beneath him, and she cried out into the night. The best part, she had suggested it. She was going to be trouble. So, like I said, it's not crazy romance novel, but
I really enjoyed that scene.
There is a lot of very similar stuff to that throughout the book. Like I said, it's not crazy. There's no there's no bulging member or anything like that. It's not a romance novel, but that is a setup for kind of the relationship between the two of them, and so there's a lot of that between him and with it's 2 books in one. With CJ, you get the like glimmering walk down the staircase, and she blows him away, and she later on in that scene takes his glass of whiskey and drinks the last shot of whiskey, and is like, "Come on, Tiger, let's get back in there." And when you're reading that scene, I want you to picture The Weeknd. What's the name of that song that's on the radio now? Shoot.
I haven't listened to the radio.
You listen to The Weeknd, the popular song by the band The Weeknd, about dancing. And I told you that's going to be the song that plays in the movie version of this when they're in the ballroom together. It's going to be that song. Do you know the song I'm talking about? Crap.
I'll put it in the show notes.
It's going to kill me. Yeah, it's about she told me to dance. She said, "Shut up and dance."
Dancing.
You know what song that is? How's it go? Do you remember?
Yoza.
I said, "You're holding back." She said, "Shut up and dance with me." Okay, there you go. That song. That song's going to be playing during that scene when you read it. Anyway, so that's CJ. And then you have Stripper Kennedy, who likes rough sex and is using him, and he's using her. Mm-hmm. And then CJ's the partner, and she is the object to be used, and the object that uses him. So it's a nice dichotomy between the two of them. And there are also drugs. There is some drug use of the many kinds. There's some violence, obviously. It's about murderer, so just be ready for that. And there are some very graphic descriptions of murder. I don't know how you felt about those, but
I didn't even. I didn't even bat an eye.
Okay, well, if you're it's
as somebody who's killed a lot of people in his life. I mean,
it's
as somebody who knows about people who've killed a lot of people.
It's not slasher flick. It's not like gruesome. It's at the end of the scene. One thing that Brandy said to me was, at the end of the scene, I was like, "That was beautiful." And then you're like, wait a second, he just murdered that guy. That's not beautiful. That's not the thing that's beautiful. Yeah. But like you're in his emotions. You're feeling why he does it and how he does it and what he likes, and that's why you get that feeling.
Well, there's one more question I wanted to ask you.
Sure, let's go.
Since you mentioned the movie version,
mm-hmm.
If you had to cast the movie version,
God,
just like the main players, like the top 5 kind of thing,
right? Yeah.
Do like the dream cast. Have I told you about dream casting before?
Yeah.
Where when you're writing, you can picture anybody in there.
Yeah.
So, like, if Robert De Niro would be the best janitor who has one line in the entire book,
you're not going to get him. But
you're not going to get him in real life. But right now, when it's imaginary, you can have Robert De Niro be that guy. So, who have you had to do like a dream casting of the people in the book?
Do you, and I'll start from the bottom to the top. Do you know the guy who played Jennifer Aniston's father in that movie with Vince Vaughn? All the romantic stories. Shit, he was proposing to her. He kept proposing to her. Fuck. Another good example. Jim is like Robert Loggia. Independence Day. He's the general in Independence Day.
Okay.
That guy?
Yeah.
So you picture him bald head and
yeah.
That's Jim except for with a full head of hair. So that's who I would pick for Jim. CJ is difficult, but I pictured Emma Stone throughout. Just a sweet, beautiful girl next door who's got like a little bit of like a little something.
Yeah.
She's cute and playful, but she can like turn it on and be right there with you. And so Kennedy, I pictured Kennedy when I was writing it. So that's difficult because it was based kind of on a real person. There's a girl who's not really a film star. Oh, shit. The girl... Okay.
Hillary Clinton?
No. The girl from Entourage. The blonde girl from the Entourage movie. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
The blonde girl?
Yes. Who was with Vince.
Emily Ratajkowski?
No, she's a brunette.
Oh.
I met her, not her. Frick, man! I the thing is, I can picture the actresses in my head. There's a girl named Evangelina, who I follow on Instagram. God, see, I wish you would have told me this before. I could have come up with a better.
Yeah, I didn't think about it until just now. But.
Yeah, so picture any young blonde. Any of the girls from the Entourage movie or an episode of Entourage. She is a give and take kind of a sweet but kind of dirty girl, intelligent.
Maybe the girl that Sloane and E had the threesome with?
She is a great example.
Yeah.
So she's also in, is it Knocked Up that she's in?
Maybe.
As the sister, I think also. She's a good example.
Yeah.
She's smart and she's playful. She got her shit together, but she's kind of dirty. And it's like Jennifer Aniston from 30 Rock, where it's like,
yeah.
She's chained herself to my radiator. I gotta go. She's so hot. Like that kind of crazy. And Chris is really, really difficult because I think there are parts of his personality in which I was picturing Chris Pratt.
Mm-hmm.
His like loyalism to CJ and the way that they are together. Actually, CJ and him is a lot like Chris Pratt and his real wife. Who's his wife? She's Scary Movie.
Scary. Oh, Anna Faris?
Anna Faris.
Yeah.
So a lot like that, like playful, but then they get out and they're like, "Hey, we're adults," and then if you see his like Instagrams, they're like farting on each other. Like that's CJ and Chris, but CJ looks like Emma Stone's. Then the other part of Chris's personality is a lot like darker, and it's, I mean, I don't know. It would be. I would say Christian Bale, but that's because I'm pulling it directly from American
Nail it
Psycho.
like Bale. Nail it like Bale.
I'm picturing the dark portions exactly like... This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a panorama or a multi-image composite with my cast, and we'll put that on there
cool.
after I give it some thought. So
if you're not watching the video...
Right.
Just take note of where we are in the podcast, probably like about an hour 10 in, I guess, when I started talking about this. And just take a look and check out the new video too, because I'm really proud of it. I think that's a good looking product that we give you for absolutely nothing.
Absolutely free, and you get to watch.
Free.
It's pure entertainment. You can also find, I guess, what you can make sure you follow on Instagram, because I love the little short thing that we do every week now. That's great too. But those images will be up there, and of course the link, because Faux is out today on Amazon. Today, June 16th, on Amazon, available now. So,
and I'm going to try and figure out some way that I can link it in the video well as but I don't know exactly how to do that yet, so we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. It's fine.
It'll be if nothing else, it'll be in the description down below. So.
Right. And if you get it, please comment on Amazon. Feel free to send me personal messages on Facebook or Twitter or at me on any of this stuff. I would love to hear your comments. I'd love to hear the things that you thought. And get excited for the books that are coming up. But enjoy Faux now. If you really liked Faux, if the movement doesn't seem like your thing and you like how Faux is written, give it a shot, because it's the same visual style, the same writing style. The subject matter is different, but I've always found that if I like an author, it doesn't matter what they're writing. If I like a director, it doesn't matter what they're directing. So,
and you've known me for long enough. How often do I pull punches?
No punches pulled.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this book.
Yeah.
This isn't just because Rob's here and I'm worried about bruising his delicate ego or something like that.
My delicate ego.
Yeah, I legitimately enjoyed every little bit of this book. And
I think that there is something in it for everyone. I think that even if you don't like all of it, you will like... EP said it best. She's like, you find yourself cheering for one of the girls or the other, and you end up hating Chris at parts and then loving him at other parts. And when you read it, you can see how somebody else would be like, well, I would be on Team Kennedy, not on Team CJ.
Yeah.
Or Chris is an asshole all the way through, and I hate everything about him because he reminds me of a boy I used to date.
Yeah.
Or I love him because of the way that he is. So I think there's something in there for everybody. If you like murder, it's in there. If you like sex, it's in there. If you like drugs, it's in there. If you like a love story, it's in there. If you like a guy making difficult decisions and trying to fix mistakes, that's in there too. It's all in there. So,
well, legitimately, I think we can say We've done good here today.
And I will say, yes, we have. All it takes is talking about me for an episode, and I agree with you. How about that?
Well, the first third, probably a little bit. We did something.
We did good.
If you want more Oh the Anthem, ohtheanthem.com, Corey at ohtheanthem.com, Oh the Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, YouTube, and the listener line, 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
It's 443-219-7595. And I think, I don't know, I think if people buy the book, they should
Call in
or text the listener line or something like that. We don't have to play it if you don't want, but
just let me know, my fragile, delicate ego.
let it know. And maybe if you want to be recognized in some way, we'll figure out something.
How about this?
Something fun to do.
If we hear from you on any of the other formats, I prefer phone. Phone will get bonus points, but if you call in, you get bonus points. But if you contact us on any of our social networks, we'll choose one person who read it, and we'll have them in here.
Cool.
And see what they say. I'll give you, I'll sign your copy, whatever you want me to sign it. I'll give you a paperback if you bought the Kindle, so I can sign that, because obviously you don't want me signing your Kindle.
Yeah.
So we'll take care of it either way. But
I wonder if that ever happens. I wonder if like Stephen King just gets handed a Kindle and it's just like, sign this, please.
Never any other books on this Kindle? Okay, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess I'll sign your electronic device.
But yeah, so
don't touch that screen for about 15 minutes or else it'll smudge.
Let it dry. Yeah. So we'll have you. Well, maybe if you want to be on the podcast, we'll have you here. Otherwise, I'll give you some swag. We do have swag coming, so
ooh,
maybe we'll throw out some swag.
So
to people.
maybe free swag will come.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to get testers anyway, right? So
yeah.
Hey, that looks good. Give that one away and order some. Yeah, there we go. All right. So you can find me on all
just
your
as long as you allow us to take pictures of you in it.
Right, that is the one thing. And we need to do some sort of tank top promotion where girls wear tank tops and that has Oh the Anthem and win some swag.
All right,
that's just for me. I don't really care about the podcast. I just want dozens of pictures of people.
I don't see the marketing aspect of this, but I guess if Rob wants it,
here's what we do: we start putting that on every YouTube cover, and
we'll
get millions of clicks.
I still, oh my god, I know it's coming. That's the worst part. Like I go to if you watch one fail video,
yeah,
like January's best fails, and then you just watch one, and then all of a sudden like your YouTube is littered with like new fails and stuff like that, and almost every single one of them has like a girl like like cleavage like popping out and like.
And is she in the video?
Yeah, and then you're just like, wow, I wonder what kind of tragic happenstance happened to her. And you watch 15 minutes of, like, some guy on a jet ski going like, oh, I can totally jump this fence.
But no girl.
No girl. And then at the end, you're just like, where was that girl? Ooh, it's recommending another fail video with titties on the cover. I have to watch this.
So that'll start being... Your Oh the Anthem podcast. That'll be coming right up. Anyway, you can find me on all your social networks at Robert and Cheek. Check out adeaddrop.com, themoveinsurrection.com. There's The Moving Insurrection available on Amazon now. You can also check out foundingthefuture.us, and hopefully coming by the time this drops, robertandcheek.com, which will be your source for all of that, including
Buy Rob's
Faux.
books.
Oh, there you got to say it. Hey, buy my books. Yes.
Books, plural.
As I said, Faux is available on Tuesday. Check out Faux Novel on Twitter and Facebook. The Moving Insurrections on Twitter and Facebook. Founding the Futures on everything.
Yeah.
You can find all of that information at robertandcheek.com. So.
All right. Well, good job.
I'm
good
so
job.
Fucking stoked. The whole thing.
Seriously, good job. You followed through all the way.
I did.
And I was there for every bit of the process, and I really enjoyed it.
And someday we'll just be able to do just that. That's the thing that every time I finish something like this, that's what I think. I'm like, someday we'll just be sitting in an apartment, still living together because it's weird, but that doesn't matter. And just doing that all the time.
Like Lenny and Squiggy.
Yes, exactly. Heterosexual life mates, just living together and working all the time.
Maybe we'll get Zach in there too.
Yeah, he can come too.
Yeah.
We'll get everybody. Bring in a bunch of guys. We'll have a frat house.
It'd be like a real life entourage.
Yes.
Only
and you will all be my entourage.
Only everybody's a turtle. a four turtle entourage.
Oh, anyway, on that note, You are listening to the Oh the Anthem podcast, part of the Oh the Anthem digital network. For Corey, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
Go to ohtheanthem.com to buy Faux.
Faux! F-A-U-X.
Oh, hey there. Didn't get enough of me? That's alright, I understand how it is. Before you go, make sure you check out last week's full episode and another episode all about me, where we talked about the movement insurrection. Make sure you like and subscribe so you get all the newest updates as soon as they become available. Have a great week, everybody. And make sure you pick up Faux, F-A-U-X, on Amazon.